This video is how to remove a transmission from a Fiesta ST. I lost the ability to shift into any gear other than 6 on mine, so I'm thinking that it's a bent shift fork. Regardless of how it broke or anything like that, we got to remove it. So here's the steps you're going to want to take.
Alright, so here's a better example of it. I'm going like 20, I let off.
Step 1, engine cover gone. I already removed mine, so nothing to say there. Step 2, we're gonna get the air box out right now. Gonna do is get this battery out, as well as the battery cradle. The ECU is on the side here, so we're gonna be careful. Yeah. Right, so now that we got the battery out, we've just got 3 bolts right here to pop out. And then we got to get this pop clip out that's right here. This is the cover for the ECU. Then we pop the cable off that. I'll show you that. So I know it's a Phillips, but what I like to do is sit here and just kind of get underneath it with my flathead and just pull it up. Basically, that's the best way to do it, and you can just pop it off. The Phillips head, but you basically pry it off. And at that point, you've got this big lever here on the side. There's 2 of them. So there's one on the bottom, one on the top. You basically just pull this back with your hand and it'll pop off. I'm not going to do it on camera here just because this is our ECU connection and I don't want to damage it. This is what that looks like once you've got it out. The top clip's pretty easy to get with your hand. The bottom one comes up this way. I had to like basically just tap on it with the back of a screwdriver to get it started, and then it popped up. But just be really gentle. This is your engine management unit, so be careful. But yeah, now at this point, the only other thing I had to do that I didn't capture was this is the ground wire that connects it to the chassis. I had to take that off. So then the next thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna work on getting this plate right here off. You can't really see it very well, but we want the box that this electrical connections to, because underneath it is our transmission mount. 2 bolts that you pop out, and then you can move this whole harness out of the way. All right, so now the next thing we're going to focus on is removing these shift cables here, and then we're going to move on to the bracket that's on top basically. So to remove these, the easiest way is to use 2 flathead screwdrivers just on each side, and kind of, I think you can do it with 1. Yeah, I got this one right here with 1, no problem. And then let's pop this one. All right, then we pop that guy off right there. And the next thing we do is these guys are locked in, so we just remove the locks. I don't actually know how to do that. Oh, okay. So you have to push from the back here to get at that. And then it pops out. So, if you can see that, what you do is you push from the back on the clip, and then it'll pop right out. And then, yeah, it takes a lot of force to get that one, but it will come out. It will come out. Once again, I'm sorry about the noise here. I'm just trying to get the shop up to heat. I'll turn it off in a second. So then both of these shift cables are loose. We can kind of move those out of the way here. So one thing I did notice, we've got this, I might relocate this. Have to remove this little electrical connector here. I believe this tells it what gear it's in. Alright, so our next step is to basically remove the bracket that was holding those guys on, the shift cables that is, as well as this the clutch slave cylinder line right here. So yeah, we're just going to remove that. Alright, so now our next step is to pop this cowl off. It's got these clips on it. Basically just going to pull these clips. Really easy to get to with a flathead. So we've got a bolt that's right over here that's underneath this on the cowl that we got to get off, so we got to get this headlight off. I just use a flathead, but you can use the torque screw if you'd rather. Headlights are easy to get off, just that. And then this little guy, and then the one right here that I am missing on my car. Now at this point, we've got to get the windshield wipers off because they're holding us on here. So the first thing you do is you get that rubber cap off. Then you can just pop these guys. So then these are kind of a little bit difficult to get off if you've never done it before. You basically just kind of wiggle them until they pop off. There you go. I like to throw the screw back on there because we can still pop it off. That way we won't lose it. And our rubber cap as well. Now we repeat that process. There you go. Hopefully the audio is better now. I'm sorry about the sound before. I had to heat it up in here. So once you pop those off, the wipers, you should be able to just kind of pull that out easy. Now we're just on to the lower cowl, which just has a bolt here and here. They're 10 millimeters. And then as well as on this back side right here. It's also got them. There's one on the back over here as well that you're going to have to get, and one right here. That should pop off as well. We should be able to remove this bracket. We've got one bolt here, and one on this back side. And that's basically why we remove the cowl, is just to get easier access to that back side. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the intake pipe too, just to get a little bit more room. Easy stuff, nothing crazy though, thus far. So to get a little bit more room to that back bolt right there that we're trying to remove, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this guy out. Mine is just barely in there, literally, because it's been apart before. I think that's out. Good enough. So now we just, the last part is the hardest part, and it's getting the pipe off the turbo here. So mine's a little loose, but yeah, pop this pipe off the turbo. To do that, what we actually do is make a little concoction here. A little contraption that I always use to get the intake pipe off there is I basically put a really long extension on this, a swivel head and a 7mm, and then I can just pop in there like this. Believe it or not, ain't even a longer extension. Not quite. A little bit more. Motherfucker. Really? I got my wrench stuck in the damn bob over here. There you go. Finally. That is a hell of a compartment over there. Alright. Jesus. Ah. Finally. There we go. So then we finally pull this guy out. Boom. Happy days. What we're trying to get to. Nope, that ain't gonna work. Yes, it is. Nope, can't get in there. That's gonna be a fucking hand doodle. Well, folks, that's what it's all about. Then we've got this guy right here, popped off. I don't know, but there is some oil on top of here, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on. If it looks like it may have been leaking, actually. It may have been leaking because I don't have oil on anything else other than the trans. So, yeah, I mean, this is factory. I haven't touched this damn trans, so good on that. Next thing we're gonna do, this right here is the shift linkage that you pulled off. There's a bolt right here and right here on the bell housing. You're gonna pop those off, but you're gonna leave the one that's in the middle of those two. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is remove the cables that are on the bottom here of the transmission, and we're gonna pull out this bracket here. You can't really see it, so this is what it actually looks like. There's 2 bolts, and then there's the 1 clip, and that clip goes down to like the mass airflow sensor that's right before the throttle body down there at the very bottom. All right, next we got to get this thing up in the air. Pop this whole clamp off the starch pipe here that connects to the throttle body. And we got to do the same thing right here as well underneath. And then there's a bolt right here attached to the transmission. Alright, so the next step is to remove the 2 bolts that connect the down pipe to the catback. You're just going to do that because we're going to remove the rear motor mount next, so it'll put strain on that, and you don't want to basically ruin your flex pipe in between. Alright, so we got the starter out. We zip tied it up just around all this stuff here so it doesn't fall. It's not going anywhere though. That's what the manual actually says to do, is just zip tie it up. Our next step is to remove the exhaust bracket underneath. We've got to remove the isolator as well as the exhaust. Let me rephrase. Okay. So let me rephrase that. We're just going to unhook the downpipe from the catback exhaust, and we're going to undo the isolator on the very front one. That's it. I don't know if I'm going to film it because I'm be all underneath. We'll try. Alright, so I just popped that exhaust gasket out. You can see that this is a good time to replace it. It looks like it might have been leaking a little bit. Not on this side, but on this side it looks like it was going out to that bolt hole a little bit. Which explains the little bit of drone I was getting, but yeah, this hardware too. Good time to replace that as well. I'll try to flash the part numbers right here, but these are just standard bolts too. You can run to the store and get these. I am not going to have the exact same thing that you have because I have an aftermarket exhaust, or you might as well. I mean, I figure if you're doing a trans, you probably work on all your own stuff and are full bolt-ons like me. Woohoo! Next, I'm going to remove the rear motor mount here for more detailed. Fuck it.
The next thing that we're going to tackle is jacking up the actual transmission casing, and this is only for safety purposes. Mine didn't even really move around, but still you want to do it just to be safe.
So next you're going to remove the 4 13mm bolts on here. These are going to be on there pretty tight. If you have an impact, now is the time to grab it. For these 4 bolts on here, you can get this with a big breaker bar if you do not have an impact. This last bolt is a little long to get at with anything other than a regular spanner, unless you got some stuff I don't have. And it literally falls right out. Cool. The next thing we're going to work on is getting the subframe dropped. So the first thing you want to do in doing that is go ahead and support the steering wheel. I'm just using a canister of oil, and I put the seat all the way up with the lever to hold it in place so it won't really go anywhere. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to unbolt this little bolt on the steering column. Here, I'll get a better shot. So if you look by the pedals, it's going to be right above it. I know you can't see very well. I just don't have enough light to really show you, but it's going to be right up here. This bolt is non-reusable. You will have to buy another bolt. I'll put the part number right here. All right, so next we gotta zip the wheels off here. Throw these under the car, extra safety. All right, so I got 15 mil on here. What I'm doing is taking off the stabilizer end link right here. Got the 15 mil here, and then this is a 5 Allen key on a socket. It's pretty easy. These are low friction mounts, so don't go crazy. Be careful with the Allen key. Worst case scenario, you're gonna have to take an angle grinder and just chop, and replace it. Alright, next we're going to remove the bottom of the lower control arm. One side's a 15, other side is a 13. This bolt, again, it says in the manual, is not reusable and that you should throw it away and grab a new one. Alright, next we're going to get off the tie rod end bolts here. I'm just going to impact mine because they're loose enough that I can do that because they've been off recently. If not, you may have to do your Allen key trick just like you did on the other one. Alright, so I got lucky on one and I got screwed on the other. This is just not coming out, but it's loose. So that's good. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and throw the face mask on and cut her off. Tie rod end. Oh, ball joint came out good. So yeah, just gotta buy one more tie rod end. That ain't no big deal. It looks a little bent anyways, unless that's how the part's supposed to be. Alright, so the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna remove these braces on the subframe here and here. Just pop those guys off. And then we're going to create our reference point. So you're going to mark right here for where your installation is, as well as the front mounting bolt, which is going to be up over here. I'll show you in a minute. One more jack. Go. All right. All right, so quick note on those subframe bolts. This right here on the left, this is a 10mm socket. This is a Torx E14. Yeah, you heard that, or I'm sorry, E-Torx 14. That's what that front subframe bolt is. You can get a 10 around it, but it ain't right. So yeah, I had to go buy one of these. Fun. Probably can't tell what you're looking at very well. This is the back of your ball joint. You want to stick something. Where's my finger? Here we go. You're going to want to stick something in between right here. And then it says in the manual not to fucking use a hammer to get this thing out, but I'm going to tell you that it's impossible unless you have some crazy special tool that I don't know about. Please comment below if you know what said tool is, and I will buy one. But, yeah. Basically, I pry behind it in the between where the two forks are, and then I use something to kind of smash against the side of it. I got the other one out clean, but this one's being difficult. Now for the moment of glory. Woo! Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Just drop it. Woo! Oh yeah, oh yeah. She's coming. Here, let me set you up. Oh yeah. Here we go.
I don't need a brand new one.
All right, so next you got to remove this brake line right here. Both sides, they're both 10 mils. All right, next you're gonna remove the 2 bolts here on the passenger side CV shaft. One there, one there. Service manual says to throw those away too. All right, so at this point you're gonna want to drain the oil because you've done everything you can literally do before you need to drain the oil. Any sane person would have done this way earlier, but I remembered right before I pull out the CV shaft. So it's right there. You can literally see it. I'm looking from the driver's side footwell. Boom. Right there. 9mm. So, once you undo that fucker, okay, once you undo that little holder on there, you literally just yank on the half shaft this way towards you know, the springs, and it'll pop right out. Easy as cake. There's no ring in there or anything like that. Super easy. All right, on to the driver's side. All right, next you got 5 bolts around the bottom of the transmission that you're gonna want to remove to get this guy out here. So the one on the right, that one, then up here, boom, boom, boom. Ugh. Those are all gonna be your trusty 13 mil. All right, so out of those bolts, F you basically leave in, and the one that's marked E here is the oddly shaped bolt that's got the nut on it. It's like a, I don't know what to call it. All right, so we're on the next step now. The next step is to install our lifter tool. I didn't buy the SST. Ford do sell an SST for this. I basically just bought this lifting bracket. It bolts on here. This is the back on the driver's side of the car. Put it right here, and I'm about to install a lifting bracket to lift the whole thing up.
First, and then once it's tacked, I'm gonna lay it over on the side, and then just run fucking bead after bead on the side of it.
Sounds good to me, as long as we can get it to work.
I just need something to hold it so I can flip it over, and then once I can flip it over, we can get.
Oh yeah, because you need that little tack just to get in there.
Put new tungsten on this. Oh, that's it.
All right, so the next thing you're gonna do is install your engine transverse bar. Things didn't go so well for us. This guy right here was on the other side right here, so we actually had to weld it, had to cut it off, weld it on that side. Yeah, I'm not sure which one fits. If someone knows, please comment below. I'll try to find out on the Reddit and put it in here. Alright, so I got this new clutch so I can show you the next step pretty easy. This is your slave cylinder line. So you basically take your screwdriver, you put it in here, you pull up that little clip like that, and then you just pull this right out. Pretty easy. You just kind of pop in there just like that, pull that clip up, pull it out. Then this, just kind of, shit, hard to do with the camera in my hand, but it's really not that hard. There you go. So then, once you pulled that clip out, you can just pop that right out. Easy peasy. And you just got to pull it off. Top right here. And then boop. Alright, so next you're going to put 2 jacks underneath it to support it, or if you got a trans jack because you're awesome, you'll probably use that. I don't have that, so we'll put that there. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna undo these 2 bolts right there. Then we're gonna undo these 3 bolts right here. So these 2 on the side are 15. These 2 in the middle, I think these 2 are 16s or 17s because they're bigger than the 15s. But yeah, so we'll do that, and transmission should fall out now. All right, so now that that's out, this should lower down theoretically. A little scared right now. I get scared right now. I felt the weight being transferred onto this guy right here though once we pulled it out. So I'm gonna try to lower it, and I'll let you know if that worked. I'm not gonna film this though because it's a little dangerous. So I misspoke. Based on the service manual, I gotta remove this now. This piece right here. So that way we can slide it back. I can get it to move this way and that way, but the input shaft is still in the transmission, right? So we have to get this off to get that extra movement to pull it back, pop it out. So to get this off, we've got 1 bolt way down there and 1 bolt way up there. All right. So see this bolt on the side here? So when you're looking at it on the top, this one right here is right by the frame rail, hidden. You can't even see it. But I'm going to show you a neat little trick. So, Ford give you a little hole. I don't know if you can see that, folks, but there is a hole. Right here's your suspension. There's a hole that you can get that bolt in. I'm not even kidding. I put the whole thing through. It looks like this. Look at this. It's sticking through the hole. And time. I pried on the end of it with a pickle fork just a little bit, popped it right out. Yeah, you can tell this thing's seen better days. This guy don't move. This guy barely moves. She's covered in oil. I'm not sure if maybe she was overfilled and she's coming out the breather, or what exactly happens. I'm gonna rip her apart and try to figure it out, try to rebuild it. I snapped this off in the process. It fell off my little jack. I guess that's one reason to have a trans jack. But that being said, I think I can get this assembly right here new. I think I've actually seen it in the catalogs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm gonna rip this trans apart right here. Probably not the best place to do this, but what mama don't know won't hurt her.